If you are supporting a survivor of domestic violence or narcissistic abuse, guess what? You need to be taken care of too. So this is the last video in this video series of how to support a survivor of relationship abuse without victim blaming. I'm Sybil Cummin. I created the Rising Beyond community, the Rising Beyond podcast. And I want to make sure that as you are learning and you are trying to support a survivor, that you take care of yourself as well, because that is really important. In the last video, I talked a little bit about that consistency of you showing up. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to consistently show up either. So what do you need to think about for yourself in order to show up in a way that is safe and non-victim blaming for the person that you care about? So number one is just being really honest with yourself about your bandwidth. There are a lot of ways that you can offer support, and it's important to know what you can provide. So one of the survivors that I worked with in the past really wanted to help other survivors as she was healing. She knew she wasn't in a place to hear story after story after story. She was not healed enough to do that. And so she said, I have money that I can help. And so that's where she was able to support someone, was financially. So where can you support? What is your bandwidth? Maybe you are someone who can really sit with and hear and listen and believe your cared, the person you care about, even if they're telling you the same thing over and over again. And it's really hard to hear some of these horrible things that have happened to the people you care about. Maybe you have the bandwidth to do that pretty consistently. Maybe you don't, and that's okay, because there's all these other ways that your person needs support. So even just looking at logistical support, do they have kids? Do they need help with childcare? Do they need help with transportation to school, right? To and from school? Do they need help financially and you have that ability? Do they need someone to Google search things for them? Do they need someone to help with yard work? Right? There are all these things that people don't think about as support, that taking that one thing of doing yard work or cleaning the house off their plate can make the world of difference. So if you are really trying to figure out, I want to help my person, but I just can't listen to the story over and over, that's okay. There's a lot of other things you can do to help with their overwhelm to support them. You can have resources available, right? You can Google search resources in the area and make sure that they have them. There's all these small ways. And so I really want you to, right, again, just be really honest with yourself. So maybe you decide, no, I can hear the stories over and over. And then maybe you have a rough week and the person you care about, your person needs you, and they just want to trauma dump on you, and you can't do it. It is better to set the boundary and say, you know what, can we schedule a different time where I'm going to have the space to really hear you? That is better than saying, yeah, sure, come on over. And then you're like resentful that they're sharing this with you over and over because you had a rough week. Your bucket is not, it's overflowing with stuff. And so it's so much better to set compassionate boundaries for yourself. It's great modeling for someone who struggles to set boundaries, right? That is very typical, not always, but fairly typical of someone in a survivor space. And it's going to take care of you. And then make sure that you have the support you need, especially if you are working with someone, but you're, connecting with someone that you love and care about. and they're making choices that you don't understand or you truly believe are going to put them in harm's way. Like they might go back to an abusive partner. They may not file for an order of protection. They may not file for address confidentiality or something like that. And you're like, oh my gosh, you have to do this. You have to do this. You have to stay safe. But it's really up to them to make those choices. And it's going to be on their timeline. And so it's possible that you need a support person too. So that could be just a family or friend that you're talking with, that's a safe person, or maybe you find a therapist or go to a support group or something of that nature. But make sure to take care of yourself as well. So I just really want to thank you. I appreciate you for just being willing to learn and be open to hearing all of the things that a survivor needs from the support people in their lives. So from the Rising Beyond It community to you all out there, thank you so much. And for continued resources, go to www.risingbeyondpc.com.